Here's how you know your husband wants you and your marriage after an affair. I've worked with hundreds of married couples over the last 14 years, and those who come to see me after an affair happened in their marriage, here's what I hear people say. But he says he wants us, but he says he loves me, or he says he's trying. And my question always becomes, pardon my being a tad suspicious, but trying? How exactly? Because after an affair, what he does is way more significant than what he's saying. Behavior becomes a language. Now, words matter. Don't get me wrong. Once a linguist, always a linguist over here. But actions matter more. So if you're wondering, does he actually want me and this marriage of ours? How do I know? Here are some things that I consistently see when that's actually the case. Stick around for the last couple of points because sure, number 7 might be the biggest of them all, but even more importantly, I'm talking about something that almost no one talks about when it comes to infidelity. And it's this thing that the betrayed spouse often starts doing and they don't even know it. It's quite mind-boggling to say the least. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because if that's what's happening in your marriage, if you are doing that, I want you to be able to recognize it. So let's get into it. Number 1, a husband who wants the marriage does not argue for continued proximity. He'll remove access to that person and he will do so immediately. What do I mean? If it was a coworker that he had the affair with, he'll find another job and doesn't complain about it. Obviously, he understands I cannot keep working here with this woman's desk being right next to mine. If the affair happened on the co-ed baseball team that he was a member of, he quits the team. No big deal, as in yesterday. If it happened at church, he finds another church. If the person was on a board that he served on, he resigns from said board. If it was a parent at your kid's daycare, he'll switch daycare and find a new daycare provider. No problem. If it was a neighbor, you'll discuss moving and he's going to be the one that initiates that conversation. That husband doesn't wait for his wife to initiate that conversation. This husband, he'll do all these things, not because these things are easy, but because preserving the marriage becomes more important than preserving convenience. Next up, your husband, if he truly wants the marriage more than anything, here's another sign that you'll know that's the case. He's going to stop defending his own comfort. You're going to stop hearing things like, oh, but I love that coffee shop, or, but they cut my hair perfectly and I don't even have to say anything. They know what to do by now. Or, oh, but the grocery store is right on my way home and they do have the best bread. You have to admit that. Or, I can't do that. Everyone will ask questions. Instead, this is what you're going to see. You'll start hearing your husband asking you this question. What would help you feel safe? What can I do? How can I show up so that you know that I mean what I'm saying? His comfort, his ease becomes secondary to yours. Here's the next way that you'll know that your husband really wants to make this marriage of yours work. He beats you to the punch when it comes to transparency. Here's what that looks like. You don't have to drag information out of him because, you guessed it, he ends up volunteering it first. Honey, here's where I'm going to be. Here's what I'm doing. Here's who will be there. Here's my phone afterwards. You know my password. Look at whatever you need to look at. Let's turn Find My on my phone or whatever other location app that you choose. The gift that he ends up giving you by doing this is you stop needing to be the detective, because now he starts being accountable with anything at all times with no pushback. And that's the beauty of it. That's the gift. Here's another reason and another way that you'll know that your husband is sincere. He doesn't fight your need for safety. Your spouse, as he gets to rebuilding trust, understands that you are hurt, you've been injured, and he gets it. Which means that if you ask, hey, can I see your phone? Or can you text me when you arrive? Or can we avoid that particular part of town for a while? He doesn't throw an adult tantrum. In fact, he will do everything but that, because this is a man who understands I am the one who created this injury, so I am more than willing to comply with this ask, with this request that my wife brings my way. That's it. Full stop, end of story. Now, not only is he willing to create safety for you, this man will also be willing to pay the price. And there's always a price. And he will be willing to do it still without having a fit about it. I don't know what it is in your situation. I've heard so many versions of this. Maybe it's leaving the job that he is in and losing money in the process. Maybe it's moving your family across town or cross country even because you need to move physical locations. Maybe it's switching schools for your kids. Maybe it's giving up his hobbies and finding new ones. Maybe it's losing the convenience factor in some parts of his life because of all of this. None of it feels good. Let me be clear about that. None of it is going to be super convenient or easy even. But let's be honest. Rebuilding rarely does. But this man of yours understands that it's doable, that it's what needs to be done, and that it's worth it. Next up, he will start offering solutions before you ask. And this one is huge. You no longer have to think of every protection because he will begin saying, and he will begin to think of this on his own. Hey, I thought about this. What would you think about that? Or what if I did this instead? Or I want you to feel safe. How about I take care of X, Y, or Z in this different way because I know you don't want to drive through that part of town for a while. He is the one who is actively rebuilding. He's taking time to think, he's taking time to process, and to come up with new solutions and then offering those solutions to you instead of waiting to be managed and told those things by you. That's how you're going to know that this man wants your marriage and that he wants you. Here's the next one, and this one might be the biggest one of them all. He understands that trust isn't given back. He doesn't say to you on repeat and with exasperation in his voice every single time, oh my gosh, when are you finally going to move on and get over this, right? Instead, here's what he says. I understand that I hurt you. I know why this hurts. I understand why you're scared. I know that I have work to do, that it is not for you to do, that it is for me to complete. Because trust after betrayal happened in your marriage is not, let me rephrase that, cannot be demanded. It simply needs to be rebuilt. And it's done brick by brick, the same way that you rebuild a house after there was a fire and it burnt to the ground. So your husband knows to be patient. He knows and is willing to give you time, to give you the space that you need. And in the meantime, he keeps doing the work. He keeps owning his part. He keeps complying with and understanding your requests. And by doing that, he will wait for you to trust again. And he knows that you will get there when you'll get there. And if you're sitting here thinking, this is maddening, this is insane, how are people even trying to justify this? You're not wrong. Because what makes situations like this so very painful, it's that it's not just you cheated, that is already devastating enough, right? It's you cheated and you still want to stay on the same baseball team, or you cheated and you still want the same gym that she attends, or you cheated and you still want the same coworkers, the same routines, the same comfort, the same convenience, the same lifestyle. That is the part that makes betrayed spouses feel like they are losing their mind, because now the message starts becoming, please heal. You over here all by yourself so that I don't have to see it or hear it. You do all the work that's necessary, right? While I keep protecting the exact environment that helped destroy our marriage to begin with, while I change nothing about our life. And people feel that contradiction even if they can't fully explain it. That is why so many betrayed spouses feel emotionally unsafe long after the affair supposedly ended. Because as John Deloney likes to say, behavior is a language. What you're doing is louder than what you're saying. And when somebody keeps fighting harder for access to the environment than they fight for the healing in their marriage, their behavior is saying something. And listen carefully. This does not mean that every marriage has to end after infidelity. I've worked with many couples who rebuilt beautifully after betrayal. But the couples who rebuilt well usually have one thing in common. The spouse who cheated will stop asking, how much of my old life do I get to keep? They start asking this instead. What do I need to sacrifice to help you, my spouse, my love, feel safe again? That is a completely different posture. One posture protects comfort, the other one protects the marriage. Now, one of the greatest tragedies after infidelity is that sometimes the betrayed spouse starts making all the excuses for the person who cheated, so he doesn't even have to. And this is you if you find yourself saying things like, well, finding a job would be hard. I get it. He loves his team. He loves his boss. I don't blame him, right? Plus, he makes good money there, so that would be hard if we had to adjust our lifestyle. Or, I know that gym is really convenient for him. Between work and home, he's found really good friends there. That would be hard. As if he can't do something hard. And I don't know, if they saw him cheating on you and supported him doing that all the while knowing that he was married, how good of friends are they really? Or it's the kids really love their school and their teachers there. I don't know. Or we've gone to church there for so long and we know everyone and we're so comfortable there. And listen, you're not wrong. Those things are hard. Changing jobs is hard. Moving is hard. Switching schools is hard. Driving across town is hard. I get it. It's not convenient. But here's the question. Why is preserving convenience suddenly more important than preserving the marriage? Because that is what starts happening. Little by little, it's you starting to backpedal. It's you going back on the requests that you initially had potentially, creating a situation where everyone starts organizing their lives around protecting the comfort of the person who betrayed the marriage. Let's not forget that. And it's you, the betrayed spouse, who starts shrinking. You start explaining. You start doing the rationalizing. You start minimizing. And you're doing it all on your husband's behalf. Not because you're weak, but because betrayal is so gosh darn disorienting. It messes with your brain. It messes with your body. It makes you question your entire experience, every conversation, every experience you've ever had. It messes with that reality. It questions your instincts, right? It makes you question yourself, your own perceptions, everything. So hear me when I say this. A spouse who truly wants to rebuild their marriage understands that rebuilding requires sacrifice, and they are willing to do it. They stop asking, how little can I change? What's the minimum effort that I can put in here? And instead will start asking, what do I need to do to make my wife feel safe and seen again? And listen, maybe you don't need all that. Maybe you don't require all those major moves and job changes and switching moves and all that. Maybe that's not all necessary, but you want to see your husband bring it to the table, have the awareness to offer it up. If you're like most of the couples that I see anyway, you want your husband to be the one initiating that conversation, making that a possibility, putting it on the table, seeing and asking if that would help. And if not, then asking what else might. And all this so that you don't have to go on minimizing the impact on your behalf because you see him problem solving already. So I am begging you to stop. It's not doing anyone any favors. It's not doing you, the hurt party who deserves to be seen and heard, who should be able to ask for some changes. And it's not doing your husband any good either. If he really cares, if he really wants you and this marriage of yours, he will be willing, he will be happy to make a sacrifice so that you feel better.